Hello, everybody. This is Spot of Nerd, and I think is the best way to describe everybody's, I guess, just overall feeling currently with the way things are in the world. So, yeah, we are going to get back into a little bit more, of course, in relation to good old politics and the sheer, just to be blunt, the sheer fucked upness in which the way the world is right now. And, there is actually good news behind all of it. I really will, we'll get into it a little bit, obviously. Unfortunately, I will have to be a little bit careful, but I'm pretty sure you will get where I'm going with some of these topics. But let's talk a little bit about it because, again, today was officially the day that the current POTUS decided to indict the former President Trump on charges of espionage and 37 other whatever, or something in the 30s, some other, basically there was like over 30 charges of just the most unbelievable amount of crap you can even think of. And that's beside the point, because what it really is, and this I guess I won't even, yeah, there's no other way to not, I mean, you can't shy away from the fact that this is the first time in United States history that a US president has weaponized its own forces to go after a political opponent. To break it down even further, if you ever have gone through high school or the history books, this is the same thing that Nazi Germany did in the 1940's. A US president is doing the exact same thing. It is unprecedented. I think that's the word for it. It is disgraceful. It is everything imaginable in relation to just tyrannical, corrupt, treasonous, everything in between. Because I've said this, my usual broken record moments. The current administration, the world, or at least half, maybe less than half, they are so afraid of Trump. They are petrified of Trump and his success that they know for a fact they will never win anything if it came to a vote in terms of the general public, in terms of civilians. You will never, ever convince the majority that your way of life is the better way of life. And that can be in relation to any topic: politics, ideologies, climate change, the whole nine yards. Supposedly, you are allowed to have your own opinion, albeit, let's hope it is respectful, let's hope that it is pleasant, non-hatred, non-discrimination, etc., so on and so forth. But the bottom line is, we are very, very quickly going down that road in the United States where you are no longer allowed to have different opinions. And as dark as that is, there is hope. There really, really is hope, because, you look at some of the news sources, the stories that are out there right now about, there are certain states that are banning, surgeries to minors, that they are giving parents the ability, the power to parent their own fucking children, for God's sake. And even though other states might be doing the opposite and taking your children because you are not allowing them to be something they are not, or whatever in relation to their bedtime, maybe you won't even allow them to drive when they're 4 years old. What it comes down to is that there are far more victories than there are defeats. It's like Louder with Crowder. My biggest idol, Stephen Crowder, always says, every day is a fight. Every day is a metaphoric, non-violent, inhabited fight. Whatever that means. Bottom line is we don't promote violence. We simply make sure every day that you are aware that we exist, that our opinions exist, that facts exist, reality exists, and overall truth exists. And the fact is, if you want to cross a line, and that line being sexualization of children, for example, you will lose. And you will lose greatly. You can see it. You can see it in Budweiser. You can see it in Target. You can see it. Gosh, where else? Other places. And I've said this before, again, I'm not saying that these are good things in relation to, yeah, we finally won against that. No, I am saying that this is good in relation to, if you want to promote the sexualization of children, number one, you belong in jail. But number two, you don't deserve to have whatever you might have, specifically in what I mean in these companies' money. These companies are losing billions of dollars. Now, yes, I've said this before. That is also very bad because that means people will start to losing their jobs. That is bad. Some people, they just need the paycheck. They need to work. My God, everybody right now is having a hard enough time as is trying to survive. Gas is once again nearing $6 here in good old Washington State. The price of food is, even I'm flabbergasted. Now, I hate food. That's for another day, another time. I'm one of those very weird people that just despises food. But I obviously have to eat because I'm a human being. You eat, it's fuel for your body, blah, 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 blah. My God, there used to be such a thing called the dollar menu. That dollar menu has now turned into the $4 menu. Literally a 4-piece chicken nuggets at McDonald's right now costs $3.69 for 4 chicken nuggets. Jesus Christ. What the actual fuck? You know? And let's be real. There are other victories. I've been noticing a lot now too when it comes to, I guess the most recent one as well would be the gamers. Now, I'll be very honest with you, I've passed my prime. Yes, I am playing Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which you should be as well, because it is truly an amazing game. But when it comes to the online gaming, specifically say with the Call of Duty, there was a recent story that Activision, which is one of the main, it's kind of like the PlayStation, Xbox of the world, but they're like the companies that make the games. They recently kicked off some of their biggest promoters or influencers because, again, these influencers are basically saying, stop sexualizing children. Why is it something we have to fight for right now in this world that pedophilia is wrong? So again, this company, Activision, they basically let go of these influencers, and lo and behold, what do you know? They lose money. And what I'm getting at, and this is not my idea or opinion or theory, but it is now, I guess, listening to Stephen Crowder with Louder with Crowder, which you should, honestly, I highly, highly recommend listening or watching on Rumble. He's also on Spotify, but it just means that right now, the more that we push back, the more victories we will see. The greatest fear and hatred that the left has right now, that everything and so forth in between, is that there are now many other options for us to get our content out there. I continuously get daily, I would say weekly death threats. I continuously am censored. I am continuously shadow banned on the main ones, like Instagram, YouTube, but I'm not on Rumble. I actually get listeners on Spotify, and I get listeners on Google Podcasts. There are other avenues of getting this content out. And it's probably one of the best victories of all, because for the first time, the tides are actually verifiably turning. People are done. People are fed up. And if you, for one moment, can sit there, look somebody dead in the eye and say that your life has improved over the last 3 years, you are officially, you're basically lying to yourself. And I mean, of course, in the relation to finances, in relation to your overall, maybe, life expenditures, quality of life, yada, yada, yada. Sure, maybe you got a promotion, maybe you had a new family, blah, 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 blah. I'm getting more to the point of economics. There's an election, probably the most important election that mankind has ever faced in 2024. If you do not allow Trump to be in said presidential race based off of this indictment, we have lost to this country. That is a fact. But what it also comes down to is, if he is allowed in there and he's allowed to run, you will, at that point, you can honor our word, you can do whatever that, there's words and metaphors for it. But the bottom line is, I'd give it 2 years. By 2026, everything would change for the better. Your gas prices would go down, your food prices would go down, your housing market would boom because people could finally afford to own a home. Your life will improve when you get rid of these tyrannical, corrupt, modern day 1940 Germany. Folks, if you get my drift. It is possible. It is happening. The victories are far exceeding those defeats. And I, for one, am actually quite excited for it. Because for the first time, we're not afraid to tell you what our feeling is, what our opinions are. You'll notice we don't discriminate. You'll notice, now again, I'm talking the majority. Yes, there are some whacks on both sides, but I'm just talking about the majority. We don't discriminate. We don't hate. We actually love and accept. But the bottom line is, there are lines that if when you cross, you will know about it. You will know about it, and we now have the tools to make sure you are punished for it. By that, of course, the almighty dollar. So, if these companies are smart, if these people in politics are smart, the world is waking up. You know it. We know it. The game is up. The bullshit is up. If you haven't figured it out yet, you need to wake up. Because now is the time that you need to fight. Because if you lose everything. And that is a world, frankly, I don't want to live in. I hardly want to live in this one. All jokes aside. But my God, if we lose everything, freedoms, take away the guns, take away the rights, digital currency, everything in between, we as human beings are done. And I don't think we're that dumb. I don't think we're that stupid. I think we are far more intelligent than this. And I think for the first time in history, like I said, we'll end this episode on a positive note. I think for the first time in history, people are officially waking up, realizing what is going on, and they're actually starting to make a difference. They're starting to change things for the better. I could not be more excited for it. And I hope and I pray that you are that person too, making the change and the necessary, whatever you need to do in your own life to make sure that you do not go down a path that promotes the sexualization of children. Basically, you're allowed to do and be whoever you want to be as long as it's respectful by the law, doesn't hate, discriminate, etc., so on and so forth, but gives you the ability to live the best life that you possibly can. This shit is not rocket science. Why people make it out to be still boggles my mind, especially in today's world. You have every single thing you have ever wanted at your fingertips, and you're still bitching. Guess what? Go ahead. Be the victim. Bitch and moan. But the majority of us, we're just not interested anymore. We're interested in making our own lives better, and we're interested in changing things. And if you get in the way, okay, go for it. But the thing is, there's far more of us than you. And no, that is not atonement to any sort of violence, or I do not wish any pain or suffering upon anybody. I always will emphasize that. I simply mean that there are lines that you will not cross. Because we will make sure you're aware of it, either with facts, with truths, everything in between, except violence. Because it's just not what we do. We don't do violence. It's just not our thing. We do facts. We do truths. It's the one thing you actually hate because you know you don't have anything else. So I thank you all for listening with this episode. I would love to know your thoughts. What are your thoughts with everything going on right now? Are we doomed? Throw it in the comments. With Trump, are we doomed? Or are we finally going to maybe start actually seeing progress towards a better future? Are we finally starting to see the sheer corruption that runs this world? And are we going to make that change to be better? To kick out the horrible people and replace them with good ones? I'd also love it. Again, please follow on good old Rumble. Please subscribe on the YouTubes. Comments, share me. The likes and the follows. Everything that you possibly can. I super duper in the pooper appreciate it. We will continue many of these topics well into the future. And like I said, I'll talk more about my hatred for food later because it's just weird, but it's all my health crap. But until then, keep your head up. I know things can get a little rough. Trust me, I think we are all there right now. You can feel it. Whether you're outside, you're in the public, you're working, we are all getting to that point where enough is enough. And I do think that is a positive thing because you can only poke a dog so much before it turns around and says, fuck you. With all that, thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you guys next time. Later, y'all.